What's up, everybody? This is Coach Cove from Novos, and today we are going to be breaking down how ThomasHD, Anas, and Queasy dominated the Trio Cash Cup on both EU and NA East. Before we get directly into analyzing their games, let's look at some of the stats provided by Kinch Analytics about how this team performed. For their first place on EU, they only ranked 68th for eliminations out of all of the teams, and that just goes to show that playing for placement and playing for wins is what's really going to help you dominate these Trio Cash Cups. After a couple of small blips in the first few games, it was their amazing consistency in the last 5 games that won them this tournament, as they had 20 plus points in every single one of these games. The majority of these points came from placement, as Queasy's trio made it into the top 3 for all but one of these games. For their third place performance on NA East, they came in 7th in eliminations and 9th in placement points. This is a big difference from their EU statistics, but it all came from a higher kill first game and didn't change the way they played the rest of this tournament. This team was also incredibly efficient with their games. They either quickly died off spawn or made it into the 9th zone in every single one of their games. Reaching the endgame and finding ways to win are the 2 key factors that drove this trio's success, and today we are going to teach you exactly how they were able to do both of these things so consistently. On a couple of occasions, the team was forced to take a fight during the second zone, and it should be noted that they played together in order to get these victories, as you can see ThomasHD going up with Anas there. But the result of these fights, even though they were able to win them, was that they ended up all the way back in the zone, and they had to move very, very far to get back into the zone, using lots of heals and hurting their positioning overall. In this game 6, they come all the way up onto this mountain that's on the back edge of zone, and they take this absolute high ground position where they're able to look for tags on all of these players below them and completely minimize their risk of getting attacked or rushed by another team. In this game, the team boxes up in stealthy and refarms an entire base out, so they have a good area completely built out of hard mats, and they're up high in elevation early in the zone, in between the edge and the center, so that as teams start to rotate in, they can still take shots at them. Because of their good positioning during the second zone, they're able to conserve a lot of mats, not worry about storm surge, and put themselves in a good position to go on and win this game. This graphic shows where Queasy's team was positioning on each second zone. Typically, they're looking for a couple of main things. They don't want to be in the complete center of zone because that's where most of the teams are. So often they're going to position sort of in between the edge and the center on a good piece of high ground. Anytime you see them coming in on the edge, it's because they got into a fight during the second zone, and those are the games that they actually ended up placing the worst in, placing 3rd or 6th instead of winning the actual game, because they didn't quite have as many mats as they would have if they had just made it into the zone and gotten better positioning. Whenever they're looking to position themselves in the second zone, they're trying to find a piece of high ground, and they're always building out of hard mats. From here, they have great angles to look for storm surge tags, and as long as they're sort of close to the middle, there's a good chance that they're going to pull 3rd and potentially 4th zone as well. Now that we know where Queasy likes to position his team in the second zone, we need to see how they get there. Looking at this battle map, this yellow line shows, and the timestamps on the yellow line show that they rotate into first zone fairly late, but their rotation into the second zone is much faster. They use a car to make this rotate, and they go late to maximize their time that they loot, but once they get into this first zone, towards the end as it switches, they're very, very quickly moving into the second zone, and it should be noted as well that they're not interested in making full dead side rotates. On this zone, instead of going all the way up to the north, they're actually just going to go fairly straight in, avoiding as much congestion by just moving as quickly as possible. Looking at the battle map from Game 5, we can start to notice a trend forming of the team rotating into the first zone very late in order to maximize their looting, and then rotating very quickly into second zone before finding that good position with high ground in between the center and the edge of that second zone. In Game 8, we once again see the zone pull deep into the northwest, and Queasy's team is going to use the same fundamental principles when making this rotate. They take their time looting up and they get into first zone late, and then they're quickly beelining it into the second zone, trying to get in as quickly as possible and claim the best position that they can. Here are the main points that you should take away from this section. First, maximize your drop spot and get as much loot as you can. It's perfectly fine to rotate really late into the first zone and end up on edge, especially if you have a car that will let you rotate quickly into the second zone. The second key point is to rotate into that second zone very quickly. If you get into the first zone late, that means that you still want to get ahead of every other team that's doing the same thing as you, so that you can find the best position to set up in for that second zone. For the third point, we want to find the best possible spot to base up when we get into zone. We don't want to be dead center, but we also don't want to be completely on the edge. Preferably, we want to be somewhere in between. On top of that, you want to look for a spot with good elevation where you have a lot of angles to get storm surge tags, and it's difficult for other teams to come up and fight you. Finally, make your base out of hard mats. There's no reason to base in second zone out of wood, especially because you might pull third and fourth zone as well. Building out of hard mats is going to keep you protected, and you'll end up saving mats in the long run by finding a good position that you can use for several zones. While Queasy's trio did a great job of setting themselves up in the mid game, it still comes down to making big plays during the end game in order to come away with as many wins as they did. Between both EU and NA East, Queasy's trio came out with 6 total wins, and discounting the 2 W key games, we're going to look at how they won those other 4 games. The first way they looked to get a win condition was by taking height during either the 6th or 7th zone using a launch pad. As Queasy's team launch pads into the air, they notice a couple things about the team that's currently holding height that incentivizes them to take it from them. The first thing they notice is that there's a solo at the very front of the tarp, and he's on a single layer all by himself. Because of this, it's going to be very easy to land on him and quickly finish him off, while the rest of the team can go ahead and build up to this side ahead of the zone where they can take height. The other thing that they notice is that these 2 players are all the way in the back, and they're actually on a lower layer than the player that's in the front, which means as soon as they land up in the front here and they go to build up, this player in the back, Miles, isn't going to be able to build up in time, and neither will the other player that's even further in the back. Whenever you're holding height, you want to make sure that you have somebody playing ultimate, and that the people in the back of your tarp are always higher than the people at the front of your tarp. Because of these factors that ThomasHD is able to pick up on, his team decides to go ahead and take height, and they end up being successful because of all these things. You can see them building up in the front of the zone, and even when this other team tries to build up, it all gets knocked out, and because Queasy and Anas are in the front, they're able to build up and retake it. Once this team has height, it's going to be almost impossible for anybody to take it back from them, as they play it very fundamentally, keeping an ultimate high ground and staying way ahead of the zone while spraying everybody underneath them. Anytime this team is able to take height, it pretty much means a win is in store. In Game 4 on NA East, Queasy's team once again wins by taking the high ground, but this time they do it a little bit differently. Instead of taking height during the 7th zone, they actually pop peppers and take it during the 6th zone. They pop the peppers before launch padding, and then once they pad, they realize that nobody is on height at the front side of zone, and because they have the peppers, they're able to build up very quickly before any other team is able to even contest them. From there, it's the exact same story as Game 5 on EU, as they just take height, hold it really well by keeping separation and ultimate height, and play till the end of the game, spraying down every team underneath them and until they're able to come away with the win. In games 4 and 8 on EU, while they didn't take height or win very cleanly, what Queasy's team was able to do was put themselves in a position to have a chance to win. This is because they stayed together on the low ground, getting refreshes and working as a team, and although they took a lot of damage, and in a lot of their other games they finished in 3rd or 5th, because they're consistently playing together and sticking with each other on the low ground, they're able to give themselves chances to win, and in games 4 and 8, they're able to clutch up and kill the final players in order to take away the victory. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped you learn a lot about how Queasy's team dominated these trio cash cups, and you can implement that into your own games. If you want to improve and have the best training experience possible with custom routines, custom exclusive videos created by top professional players like Chapix, then you need to go to novos.gg, sign up right now, and get your custom training plan and access to all of our exclusive content. Thank you again to Kinch Analytics for providing those fantastic statistics today, and we'll see you next time.